let's all give a warm welcome to Mr. Ender Jiang, founder at Hiverlab, and his team. Over to you, Ender.
Hello everyone, afternoon. Nice to meet you online. So my name is Ender, the founder of Hiverlab. So today we actually have three of our teammates from Hiverlab joining the session. So we have Christopher William, he actually is the leader of our creative department. We have Zheng Yu, he actually is leading tech and development part. And we have Sankop, he actually is leading user experiences and solution architect. So that's four of us.
Yep. Hi, Zheng Yu, Sankop, and Christopher. All right. So let's see. So while we're waiting for questions to come in, maybe I can kickstart the question first. All right. Maybe we'll start off with Ender. All right. Maybe a quick question on how did you get started working on immersive technology? So there are so many technologies out there. What started you off on starting Hiverlab itself, and maybe share a little bit of your own personal journey?
Okay, thanks for Alvin. I think as you probably noticed that Hiverlab doesn't have any VR and AR in the company name, which means in the beginning we didn't really start with AR and VR. Actually, in the beginning we are looking at how the company might look like in the future. So back to time when I started Hiverlab since 2014, I was quite fascinated about this concept called hive mind. Hive mind is a concept proposed by Calvin Kelly. He's a technical philosopher. He has been looking at how the future of organization looks like. So he actually has this concept called hive mind decentralized organization. So it means in the near future, the company will be a lot more decentralized. So you have to really design a good system for everyone to release their freedom of creativity and their innovations, so they can actually do their own part to become a successful bee in the hive system. So in that concept, I feel that okay, maybe I should have a more input of naming the company in the sense of vision instead of the business. They're actually giving the name as a hive. So hiver means people who build the hive. Then lab means it's always open for new possibilities. So that's where the Hiverlab name's coming. But actually starting from our background, especially I'm been working in creative industry for more than 10 years before I started Hiverlab. And before that, I was studying communication engineering. So actually I'm a tech person, background person. And meanwhile, I also have many years experience in the creative industry, installations, interactive medias. Then I realized that there are certain domain that actually have a pretty good advantage in combining creative and technology. Then back to 2014-15, there's a major acquisition from Facebook to Oculus, which demonstrates that immersive technology has been starting to rise. And actually, although it's very early stage, but I do see there's a great future of this technology. Then from the second year of the Hiverlab, we start to enter immersive tech. So we're starting to do something very simple, like 360 content creations, media productions. And after a few years explorations, we start to build the whole business into a platform and solution, and also over the R&D direction. So, but we are also quite into immersive tech as well as some related emerging tech, which to be integrated. So that's a concept where we are today.
All right. Thank you, Ender, for sharing your journey. Right. So Hiverlab has been through quite a long journey, right? It's regarded as I think you might still consider yourself young, I guess, as a company.
So I think for the company, we are young. I'm definitely not as young as those very recent Fortune 30 below 30. I'm definitely not below 30. I can probably still fight for below 40, but yeah, not that young, Yeah, but I think for us, it's the team on average they are very young. So we actually have a team on average probably about 25 years old on average. We do have a few senior people coming about to look after a different team, but as you can see, three of our guys they are also very young. So I think for us, this is industry that new blood will make a new ideas and new perspective. I think in any industries, especially the industry has been growing well, growing significantly, we do need young people to come in to actually look after our blind spot. I think even for me, I've been in this industry for 10 years, but I definitely cannot catch up some specific technical advantage and advancing forecast as fast as the younger generation. So we are actually actively looking at new talents and young leaders to join the team.
Yeah, totally agree. And yeah, so it's the young people that bring in new perspectives, right, to company, to the technology itself. Yeah.
Yes.
So with our young team here, maybe I can ask Chris, right? What is it like to work in a company like Hiverlab? How is Hiverlab different from another company you think, and maybe a company which is similar to Hiverlab? And what is your team culture like?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris. I'm the lead 3D artist here. I guess maybe a little bit background about myself. I joined Hiverlab after graduating from LaSalle. I joined Hiverlab as an intern. And then ever since, I can tell from my experience from the first day, Hiverlab has been exciting from the beginning. It's always been something going on. It's dynamic. It's changing. And something that I really wanted after graduating from LaSalle is I wanted to go into a field that is experimental and not do not like the other creative industry. I wanted to go into some experimental um, um, like creative. I wanted to do more experimental creative things. So I think Hiverlab was a good fit. And then I think in Hiverlab, one main thing that I did notice when I first came in is like everyone here, there's no like set hierarchy. Everyone is like a team player. And Ender especially, he keeps mentioning like we should have transparency. And then he motivates the entire team like a leader. So we are close knit. We all work like a team, like a hive mind, like he said. That's something that I did notice and it did fit well when I joined Hiverlab. And also, we usually have team bonding activities. Ender does urge us to have team bonding activities. Like we sometimes play basketball in the afternoon, which kind of uh, I guess helps us connect more as a team. Yeah, I think how is it different from other companies? I guess we are always searching for new things to do. We are searching for the next and the latest new tech out there, and we're trying to keep up with the latest new tech. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, sounds like a very exciting place, very fun place to be.
Yeah.
So this is there, can I maybe use the pun, a cross-pollination between the arts teams and the engineering teams? So Zhengyu, do you guys go down and play basketball together with them?
Yeah, I guess so. But there isn't really a clear distinction between the different departments. It's kind of like everyone is regarded as the same. Everyone is in the same family. That's what I would say. So I think similarly to what Chris and Ender have mentioned, the concept of having a hive mind. So everyone is a talented individual on their own, and you can tap on each one of them to based on their expertise to kind of like help you. So I wouldn't say that it's a cross pollination because it's really in a family, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a one big hive already, right? Everybody's part of the big
Correct.
team. Yeah. Okay. So what is maybe a carry on with Zheng Yu. So what is it like a day in the life working in Hiverlab besides the talking together, the playing getting to play basketball in the afternoons, what do you guys do? Yeah.
Right. So I guess for us, we have, I guess, two main type of work. So one of them being projects. So projects typically come in from different clients from different industries. Some from Marcom, some are from logistics, those kind of different type of companies. And we are also establishing our own products as well. So depends on, it kind of depends on what you're working on at the time. So we do use Trello for task management. So I guess at the start of the week, your tasks would already be planned out according to the days. planning of the task, I guess, is kind of up to you or up to the project manager that's leading the project. Yeah, so I guess a typical day for me, because I do have my tasks planned out already. So I will usually just go through each one of the tasks and I tend to break it down in checklists. Yeah, so I go through the task, I get done with the task, I update it on Trello again. So I guess that's also, I guess what you can call as, I think what Chris mentioned as transparency, because everyone's schedule is updated on Trello. You can kind of see what everyone is doing at that time, because people do tend to work on multiple projects at the same time. So we don't really want to overload someone if they already have like a whole bunch of tasks at the same time. We don't want to add more things to it. Yeah. So I guess a typical day for me as a developer would just go through the things that I need to do for my work. End of the day, yeah, just update everyone. And I guess we do have a weekly sharing every Friday. It's sort of like a stand-up meeting, but a pretty long, extended stand-up meeting where everyone kind of shares their project, what they have done for the week, how's the progress with the project, and I guess as well as any product updates. Yeah, so I think that sums it up.
All right. Thanks for sharing, Zhenyu. So I caught some of those things you mentioned: stand-up meetings, tasks, and Trello. So is the whole team using Scrum or Agile methodology? Is this something that you guys picked up along the way, or is it something that you all have practiced for Chris back in LaSalle, for yourself back in school, in university?
It's something that I picked up when I came to Hiverlab. Yep, we didn't have project management like Trello, so we did have to create our own short film in the end of the final year. So what I did was we had Excel sheet, like a basic project management in Excel sheet, but I think moving on to Trello was really good, and it gives more flexibility, and then it's more in-depth compared to just Excel sheet. So you can tag other team members into your cards, and then you can look at their work or what's their progress. So I think it's much more clearer to everyone.
Yeah, and Sankalp, the solutions architect here, just to add on that point is, as you mentioned before, we are a very highly fast-paced company, and we deal with new technologies, new news that are coming out, updates that are happening in the software world, in the hardware world. So to keep up with all of that, we do revise our plans constantly. So we tend to stick with the Agile methodologies, and that keeps us on our toes, and we are constantly making sure we are delivering the best of quality, matching the standards out there. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sankalp. So yeah, I think you're right. So Agile, I guess, enables you guys to keep up to speed, right, very quickly. Yeah, and so for those newbies, right, if pardon the pun again, for newbies who are joining Hiverlab, how would they get accustomed to this fast pace, Agile methodology and all that? Is it something that they'll have a mentor in your team to guide them, or is it something that they learn by doing?
So we make sure that anybody who joins in, they get familiar with all of our processes and how we manage projects and how the team works together. That makes it very easy for anybody to pick up the tasks and the management skills overall, and learn how to actually manage their own time and their own deliveries. So we even have our own sort of personality test that we do. That really helps us understand our team members. What are their top strengths? What are their top communication skills? And that really helps us, bring out our ideas. As a developer, that they are very rational and logical. So we make sure that we go point to point. We want this to be delivered. It needs to work this way. But if it's a creative person, you have a flexibility to discuss abstract ideas and have a back and forth that way. So we make sure the communication is very clear, and everybody's on the same page.
All right. Thank you, Sankap. So it sounds like you guys are still growing the team, correct? Yeah. So maybe can I pose a question? What are some of the key skills that if somebody wants to join in, right? What are the key skills they should build on, or they should start to build on, so that they can apply to Hiverlab? And what is some of the biggest misconception that they could have? Meaning that, oh, I must be a very strong programmer, or I must be very good at art already. I must have a very strong portfolio. Yeah. So is there something that they should be looking out for to build on?
So, okay, starting off with the misconceptions, right? People think, okay, it's a very software heavy company. Maybe you need to know a lot of coding and a lot of these existing market tools. But the thing is, we are dealing with a very experimental, a lot of experimental solutions. The bigger players, Google, Facebook, people that we actually rely on for like the ecosystem or the SDKs, they are sort of deciding factors on a lot of these solutions. So in that case, we are learning as much as a new graduate is learning. So we are on the same page on a lot of these tools that are coming out, these libraries that are coming out. So what we have to do, we are actually looking for people who have that drive and capability to learn new things and apply them, instead of someone who already knows 4 years of Java coding, or so it's less on your existing skills, but rather on how you can adopt to new technologies. Yeah.
Thanks, Sankap. So it sounds like it's somebody going back to that the agile mindset again, right? Being able to pick things up quickly and the drive to actually learn new things on the fly, I guess.
I can like confidently say that all of us here have learned so much in the past few years than we did in our university, to be honest. Yeah.
Just to add on to that, yeah, that is very true. When I first graduated and came into Hiverlab, I learned in 2 weeks in Hiverlab more than I learned in like 6 months in LaSalle. So it was, it's really fast paced. And I think 2 main things from my experience that I've seen that if newbies are coming in, they definitely would need is adaptability and problem solving skill. Something that Sankap mentioned, but yeah, a problem solving skill is very important in our field because everything is new. Like most of the things we do is new. So we're trying to figure new things out. So I think those 2 skill set is very important.
And having said all of that, I don't want to like scare people.
Yeah.
It's not that everything is fast paced. We don't know what we are doing. It's that it's exciting if you're motivated by new challenges and figuring things out. Because at the end of it, it's very rewarding once you actually put the pieces together and it makes sense and you deliver that and nobody else has done it in the world. So it's very rewarding in that sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Sankap and Chris. Chris, you made a very strong point there. It's problem solving, I think. Coming from an arts perspective, I think some of the artists might think that, oh, I'm an artist, so I'm creative. But actually, it's interesting that you said it's problem solving as well. So as I think no matter which angle you're coming in from, whether you're a developer or an artist, I think the key skill set of being able to problem solve is so critical, right?
Yeah, very much. I can actually tell from my own experience. The first project that I was put on, we had to do a VR, a 360 animation film. So each frame was taking around like 24 hours to render. Like one frame was taking around 24 hours to render. And then we had like a week to complete 2 minutes of it. So I had to think of another way to render it quicker. So there was new render engines and there's new softwares that we had to adapt overnight. And then transfer all the knowledge we learned from the previous render engine to the new one. And then, yeah, we ended up finishing it on time because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So I think so bouncing off that and what Sankop mentioned earlier about agility of picking up new skills, and I think given the current situation as well, we have to adapt so quickly as well, right? I mean, I'm sure when you guys joined Hiverlab, when Ender first started Hiverlab, with the technologies that you guys deal with, it's all a lot of physical artifacts, right? A lot of technological things that you handle at the same time at work as well. Now, given the current situation where we're down to, I think MTI said that we have to be 50% or even less work from home where possible. Okay, how has that affected the whole work situation in Hiverlab? So this opening up to the whole team here, how have you guys adapted and how has it changed your work environment?
Maybe I can just start responding since for us, usually we respond to the overall COVID challenge very fast. So actually, even from last year, when we firstly understand there will be the Dawson alert rising, then we immediately switch the whole team to remote work as a default. So I think for us, it's the good thing is our team has been preparing overall digital working framework for the past 2 years. So it definitely doesn't start from COVID. It will be way before COVID. So we actually have been planning to use a lot of the tools that we can collaborate online with our own team in Singapore, with our branch in the few countries in Asia. So I think for us, we are kind of very comfortable. But after a while, then we realized that there are definitely certain activities is still important to happen in office, face-to-face scenario to make decision faster. Then of course, after the slightly releasing period early this year, we actually did get people back to office. But we actually take another consideration is how will be the future working environment looks like. Yeah, so because we have been used to having office, everyone having a seat, then everyone can talk to each other. But what if this whole assumption will no longer be valid in the near future? What if in the near future, flexible working locations will become a default? Yeah, so whether it's because COVID or not because COVID, it's over the acceleration of this because concept of digital nomad will be accepted. Then for us, we actually start to build the second office starting from early this year. Actually, we just kind of finished the office last month. Then as the new regulation come in, then we also actually show everyone, yes, we actually have another office. So you now have 2 units. These 2 units are naturally separate from each other. So instead of trying to reduce people in office, we are able to spread them out to 2 locations as well. I think that kind of give us a little bit flexibility. Of course, for now, we do actually take working from home as a default. Actually, that's a common decision. If we make sure that everything is properly regulated. But meanwhile, the office that we've been using, we also make it more like a only focus at prioritize a meeting. When there's a meeting happens, then people might have a reason to come. Then if there's no meeting, we ensure that there's a remote connection, remote control that they can use their workstation or PCs from home. And they bring in their laptop back from home, and we actually have this kind of access management that has been done by our HR team, ensure that people do have their own device and hardware they can develop on their own convenient scenario. So this thing has been applied. Yeah, maybe taking this opportunity, maybe I can just quickly share how the current office looks like and how the different office looks like. Maybe I just may quickly share my screen.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, so for example, this is actually office, one of the office. So as you can see, we capture everything before COVID, and the office is already designed in a very open concept. So we have this mixed function ping pong and pool table. So on top is ping pong, below is pool table. And we have our own green screen area, which can do some production. So these are the kind of workspace. So we have been using this whole long table. I think for us, the structure and the office concept is very open. So we make sure that people are able to easily talk to anyone without any physical boundaries. So even for me, I'm not really sitting in this room, I'm sitting here. So make sure that I'm well connected with everyone. This room is more like finance corner. Yeah, so that's old office how it looks like, but the other office that we've been building is like this. So you see even more open. So really focusing at the conversation on demand. So when there's conversation, yes, you might just book a space that you can talk to each other. And but which actually minimize the permanent working desk already. So for example, you want to have something kind of meeting, but this is the only corner that we might still reserve for permanent staff who actually stay in the office all the time. So look at the whole office, only like 10% of the space is used for permanent seat. All the other space has been used just for ad hoc conversation. That's how do we realize that define the future of a working relationship. So you no longer need to always force your staff to come to office. Then what you need to do is you need to provide a purpose of your working environment. The purpose could be more convenient, more effective, more like inspiring environment for people to have a conversation. So for me, I took this office sometimes over the weekend. Actually, I use it for my own, working with my kids, watching TV. Yeah, so those kinds of things quite flexible, quite comfortable. So that's how the office being used nowadays.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ender. Actually, one of the key signatures of SES or DM chapter especially is we do a lot of office tours, and I think you just scratch that off our bucket list there as to visit your office. So we, however, we are not able to visit you guys, but we got a peek into how you guys work. So, Ender, you mentioned that there's 2 offices now. They are functioning active both at the same time.
Yes, they both at the same time. So they actually are reserved for different team function. So the old one is still mainly used for developer and creating team. The new one is mainly used for marketing and the business team. So we are on default, we're able to direct our teammate to a different unit.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay, let me just jump over to Q&A. Oh, no questions yet. I guess we are answering a lot of questions before the audience is able to put it in. Maybe let's pivot a little bit. And so we've touched about working lifestyle, culture and all that in Hiverlab, skill sets. Let's pivot a little bit and look at what are the partners? Who are the partners? I think Zheng, you mentioned a little bit just now about some of the other companies in industry. It's quite different, right? Marcom companies out there. Who are the other partners that you guys work with, and what are the values that you bring to each other? What's the value exchange there?
Okay, so maybe this one I can take it as overall. So for us, when we look at our own industry vision, we definitely aim to be a tech enablers using immersive technology. So as an enabler, we actually do have our vision to making technology a lot more accessible. That's why we start to build a series of product to allow people to actually use those product to build their own immersive applications. So that's one of the things we have been driving us to ideations and through the incubation to launching of the product. Then meanwhile, we also realize that the industry is still at the early stage. Then there are people who want to adopt to immersive technology in a different kind of engagement. So they are the client and partners we'll be working with them to drive the overall digital transformations of their own, like operations or communications or like even the learning journey. So for example, we'll be working with a company in their like HR or training department to drive adoption of immersive training. We also work with the IT department to use the AR VR solution to help them build a whole facility management system. So for example, we work with some global leading logistic firm and manufacturing firms to actually deploy those solutions. Now, so I think for us, basically these 2 drivers will actually help us to also grow the 2 type of team, 2 type of workforce in the company. So we actually have a very focusing product team who have been driving to make the product a lot more accessible, user friendly. We also have a solution team who actually been focused on making sure our solution are comprehensive and user friendly. So I think eventually in these two drivers, we managed to establish some very good ecosystem partner. We actually are currently partnering with Microsoft for the mixed reality partner solution in Singapore. We also are recognized partner in Vietnam as ADR. ADR is an authorized device reseller, which can help Microsoft to further build the overall adoption in mixed reality. We also recognize with Facebook as a system developer partner, and also like Ali Cloud, the Huawei Cloud, they are the cloud provider. They actually also partner with us to providing a test bed and also the innovation, the R&D collaboration as well. I think for our industries, we do need a few partners which can help us to extend or establish the whole adoption by providing infrastructure level of the technology. Because for immersive tech, it is still a bridge to connect people with information. But how do we properly lead our audience to make sure that they are able to complete their journey by having a right structure in the cloud and hardware in the different environment. So those are the partners that we've been working with and deploy the solution together.
Okay, thanks, Ender. Wow, it's a big range there you mentioned. So being an enabler, I think that's very true about technology. We are using technologies as an enabler for all these different industries, and connecting. I'm very excited to hear about you connecting with all these market leaders, Facebook, Microsoft, Huawei, Alibaba. So I guess, like Sankop mentioned earlier, newbies joining in, they would have to be agile enough to connect with all these different technologies, right? Is there any areas that you guys are focusing on right now? Any particular industry partner, or is there one area that you think that you're focusing on because this technology really excites you so much right now?
Okay. So since a little bit like overall business marketing, maybe I'll still take it. So since we do focusing working with manufacturing and logistics related industry a lot, it's because those industry they are actually moving very fast in the digital transformations, in the establishing their capabilities of maybe a training operations level. So those are the industry that are also very essential. Because for us, we feel that we would like to make sure that our technology are relevant. So to ensure that we are relevant, we have to build in the value in the essential service with more operation value. So that's why this industry actually currently we are getting quite a good adoptions as well. So I think these are the key industry. But beyond this, we do have also successful achievement in partner with telco, ICT, as well as like finance and education sector, because our product do get well adoptions by those industry as well.
All right. Thanks. So just now, so rounding back to Christopher, he mentioned that he joined Hiverlab as an intern back when he was in LaSalle, right? So LaSalle is one of the institutes that you guys work with, right? Do you guys hire fresh hires out of universities and polytechnics? And so what are the job areas that your team is looking to hire?
We do hire fresh grads. So right now, I think we just filled up all our positions for creatives. But we did hire from Poly, and we did hire a bunch of interns from Poly and NTU, and fresh grad also. We have one degree holder. Yeah, and for developers, I think we are still hiring. Yeah. For developers, we are hiring. We are hiring also in like different countries, not just in Singapore. We are actively looking for, talented people from other countries so that we can work with them and we can get them into our kind of working environment.
Maybe you could share more about developers. Because for us, we are actually using Unity as our 3D engine for AR and VR technologies. So having experience with Unity is definitely a good place to start. But that being said, we also need a lot of backend to actually support the Unity application. So basically, we kind of need the infrastructure with the backend technology. So we also need backend developers. So developers who have experience with standard cloud providers like Huawei Cloud, Ali Cloud, Azure, AWS, some of the few to mention. In terms of backend knowledge, for us, we're using Laravel, so using PHP for our backend. Yeah, so I think that's also definitely something we are looking out for. And then I guess for general practices for developers, I guess having good knowledge of Git, so version control, that's pretty important for us. And definitely writing clean and reusable code, that's definitely another important point. Because for us, our products tend to come from projects. So because with multiple projects, we kind of notice a demand with multiple clients. So to make our lives and their lives easier, we kind of come up with a product to kind of solve a common need that's recognized inside the industry. Yeah.
Thanks.
We
Thanks
are
for
also
sharing.
hiring, also hiring a lot of designers, UI UX designers, because we really believe in telling like compelling stories, and visuals are very important to us. So for the front end, we do look out for talented UI UX designers and the kind of softwares they use. We're not very particular about that. You could use Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, or Sketch, or InVision. As long as you have like a good storytelling understanding of how visuals are meant to be treated, and it's okay if it's not exactly the right from the start, because the UI UX in, for example, a virtual space or AR space is very different from traditional 2D screen or visiting a website. So you do come here, you pick up the things that we have done previously. Every single UI UX that we do here is sort of a build on what we have done previously, and it's kind of experimental. You play around with, okay, I want to place a panel in this wall space here. It's like you're actually interacting with something that is physically there, but it's in the world, like a virtual space. Yeah, so you have to sort of let go of a lot of principles that you pick up for your traditional designing, and you sort of reimagine a lot of it in this space. So it's very fun and exciting to like figure that out, whether put something out, try it out, or it needs to be bigger, it needs to have more fun interactions. Then you build that again. So very fun iterative process here. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are writing the book as you go along, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe I can add on the creative side. I guess similar to what Sankap said is it's good to have like a basic knowledge of 3D and your aesthetic skill, aesthetic view. But we mainly use Maya, a 3D application here, and Unity 3D also. So that's something that even on the artists or the creatives that come in, it's very useful and important to pick it up because our end result is always inside Unity. Either we are building AR, VR, or MR apps or experiences, it's inside Unity. Yeah. Maybe since we are on this topic, I can show some of our works that we have done. This is from the creative team side and some of the behind the scenes and what we have done. Sorry, let me give me a moment.
Okay. While Chris is setting up, maybe I bounce back to just now I latched on to something that Zheng Yu mentioned. You mentioned Git, right? Is this something that you guys are you using in-house Git or are you using the public Git?
We're using
repos?
the public GitHub. Yeah, so
Okay.
I guess private. I guess we have an organization. We basically create an organization to invite every one of the developers in.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how it works.
So this is basically kind of like a VFX breakdown of all the 3D stuff that we have done across different mediums of immersive tech.
Chris, has it started playing? I think
Yeah, you guys.
we're seeing a frozen screen. Just I think the first image on the video.
Sorry, let me share screen again.
Sure, thank you.
Can you guys see?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it playing?
Yep, it's working now.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. It's always cool to see behind the scenes things that you're building up. So all of that was built up. Are these more recent works, or are these all the way back from 2014?
No, these was recent works last year, but not all of them. The few of them that we can show. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they're top secret stuff that
Yeah.
you guys are still cooking on. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with questions. I'm still looking out for questions from the floor, right? Yeah, do you have any questions from the floor, from the audience? Anybody want to ask questions regarding Hiverlab or about, any one of our panelists here? Yeah. So rounding back to something Ender mentioned or Chris mentioned as well. I think one of you mentioned that you guys have people working in different offices, right? So where are the, as in regionally, where are the other countries that you guys have offices?
Yep. So we actually have a full function branch in Vietnam and Cambodia. Currently, we mainly setting up in Asia. We have a few countries that currently operating at rep sales, but not really a full function branch. But for us, we are developing, establishing a new branch in India as well. I see you are muted, Alvin. Alvin, you are muted.
Sorry, yeah. So we have questions from the floor. What are Hiverlab's plans for the future?
I think in the next 2 years, we'll be very focusing at growing our Asian footprint. Meanwhile, on the technical process, we definitely are going to establish more product, platform level of offering to the market. Because for a simple company, going out is usually, there's a lot of challenge in localizations and building your competitive advantage in any new countries. For us, what we learned in the past few years is it's very unlikely you can go out by just becoming a solution provider alone. You actually have to build some disruptive advantage according to the market nature. So for us, we realized that having a very like centralized Agile team, looking at the product development, which we can push our product into the top level, they do give us the advantage when we enter new countries, because it's very hard for other Asian countries to assemble this level of teams like Singapore and to actually build a product effectively. Sometimes less people means faster. Less people means that you do less work. Less people really means a faster turnaround time, more effective operations management. Then you can save some trouble to take a lot of redundant process. So for us, we choose the decent team, and we are able to move fast in developing the product to the country, to the market we want. So I think for us, we definitely will remain this strategy to use the product strategy and platform strategy to enter a new market together with some of our ecosystem partners. So that's something we are going to happen in the next 2 years. But maybe 2 years later, we might be looking after the global market, the US, Europe, because we understand that they are already established players in those markets. They already have many years of footprint and successful case studies. Then we have to be much stronger than where we are now to actually enter those markets.
All right. Thanks for answering that, Ender. A question from Annie MC Fang. So she's asking, thanks for the animation of the VR and AR demo. What are the optimum hardware specs required to render that? And did you run the rendition on the cloud? And are there any cloud setup that supports this?
Yeah, so we do offline and real-time rendering. And for offline rendering, we have 3060s and 3090s in our office, pretty high spec. We do need that for rendering our animation videos, but we also look into now we started looking into more real-time rendering because it saves a lot of time. And then most of your new game engines can render photorealistic rendering or even stylized. So it's quite versatile. So we adapted Unity 3D for real-time rendering. Some of the animation that you saw inside, actually almost all the animation that you saw inside was rendered from within Unity. So there's not much difference between rendering offline and rendering in real time now. And for cloud rendering, we have experimental versions of it. We do few render streaming stuff, but it's not it's not polished enough. So we don't use render streaming that much in our pipeline yet. Yeah, and I think you texted, yeah, graphical cards. Yeah, we have a 3060 and then a 3090 and a bunch of 1080s. NVIDIA, mostly we use NVIDIA and Ryzen CPUs to render. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chris. So we've got 2 more questions there. Maybe we tackle, I think we kind of answered future technologies, right, that Hiverlab is working on. So beyond what was talked about earlier, Ender mentioned Microsoft's mixed reality, ADR. Are there any other things that you think that crystal balling that you would like to work on?
Yeah, I think for us, we already have our own tech roadmap have been planned out in the next 2 to 3 years. What we would like to explore. I think those roadmap is always keeping minds on what the overall infrastructure level technology is going to happen. For example, we have to really predict well in sense of when we develop our product, whether some of product will just become consider like a free offering from some ecosystem players. So for example, if you look at it back to 5-6 years ago, it's definitely not wise to develop your own AR engine, given that we know Apple and Android are going to provide their AR engine for free. So nowadays, what we have to look at is whether we should look at developing some specific industry solution, industry level solutions which essentially match our size, because we don't want to enter this domain which doesn't match our size for the future fight. So I think a few technologies we are definitely looking at. One is the digital twin technologies, because this technology requires a lot more in-depth of knowledge in industry, especially in domain knowledge in the operation natures. You have to be very close to a few industry players so you can have access to this level of knowledge to build your solutions. Once you start to build it, it do give you a few years to adopt, but it also give you a few years of advantage in this domain. And another domain, another trends we are looking at is cloud native related applications. Because now we talk about the cloud. And what does cloud really mean to everyone? Well, nowadays we know cloud is giving you access, giving you something you can easily consume and subscribe. But very soon people are talking about ownership of data, ownership of access, and how can we create applications which can match the future of this kind of API for the user. That's why we look at our solution to be fully containerized, mixed cloud, on-prem, on-prem and cloud, all these different deployment, as those should be a nature of this industry, because we feel that we will definitely want to benchmark the best experiences. But if this experience cannot be deployed within clouds, within clouds required environment, then this application will be adopted as well. So nowadays, if you look at the trends of other software as a service, they actually started moving a little bit from software as a service into a little bit of platform as service or infrastructure as service. So they provide users some access to build their own solutions, like those trends of open APIs. They really want user to own certain things, and the user can work as a developer to touch those low coding development process to build their applications. And then for us, we also want to ensure that our solution will be able to sit in their development environment, not only in their consumer or eventually deployment environment. In that case, immersive technology will be able to build a lot more value than where it is today. I think these are generally the two trends. One is digital twin, which is more like industry driven. Another point is overall how the cloud looks like, how it's going to affect the future of our product.
Yeah, interesting. Digital twinning, I think, is one of those things that Industry 4.0 practices are looking at right now. And definitely, I think something that for our audience to look into if you're interested in. I think we are running a little bit out of time. So I just want to can we answer one more question? Coming back to Annie. Annie has one question about bandwidth. Can real-time rendering be effective over 1 Gbps fiber broadband? Yeah.
Okay, so maybe this one I can take with Suncom, since we actually recently did some testing in the very extreme and experimental environment, which is a 5G testbed. So we actually use 5G environment, which is the access IMD provide to us to test the real-time cloud render streaming. So I think real-time rendering is probably not accurate, because real-time render means you run application on your PC. You just want to render something from your application, which has nothing to do with bandwidth. So what we are talking about is actually about the render streaming or cloud rendering. So those kind of scenario, you requires the rendering happens on the remote device, which you actually access the result frame by frame into your client. Your client can be a browser, can be a mobile phone, can be a tablet. So that scenario, I think for now, what I've been observing is the bottleneck is actually not on the broadband. The bottleneck actually is on your PC's their own RAM, whether you can process this much of data. Even 1 Gbps, you're talking about 125 MB per second of data being produced. Firstly, your RAM and CPU will actually get overloaded instead of your broadband. So that's something we'll observe. I think some companies have more like practical and experimental results from that testing, so we can share.
Yeah, so we had our own testing done recently under 5G testbed, and what we found was that the limitations are actually on the processing side. The virtual CPUs or GPUs, they are the limitations when it comes to processing that many frames. It's less about the latency or the bandwidth, because you are able to achieve, let's say, the 5G level of even faster transmission under local network. So in that case, the bandwidth plays very little role compared to the actual processing units that we have. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for taking that last question, Sankop and Ender. Okay, I think we have come to the end of our session. I'd like to really thank everybody, all panelists, Ender, Zhengyu, Sankop, Christopher, for coming in, taking time from your very, very busy schedule. I'm sure doing all your agile stuff, experimenting with new technologies.